Bridget, I'll turn it to you to kick us off with the AI ahas because I've been talking for a while, but you always have really interesting ways that you're using AI. Can you share something you've used it for since our last?
One of the reasons I'm here in Philadelphia this week is the American Law Institute Council, which is the sort of governing board of the American Law Institute, meets here in Philadelphia this week on Thursday and Friday. And I was elected to the council last May. I've been a member of the ALI since 2012. The ALI, of course, is the organization that tries to bring some clarity and transparency to, different legal areas. So they issue these restatements of law, which courts and scholars and lawyers rely on to kind of understand what the legal principles are in a particular area. Apparently, at the council meeting, we will be discussing many drafts of restatements. And I get to give a little intro speech to the council as to who I am, and why I'm here, which is a good question, really, honestly. But I decided to brainstorm a little bit with my friend, actually a couple of my friends. I did it with Claude and with GPT about the history of the ALI and what were the sort of founding members of the ALI concerned about. Because it feels to me like right now that my main familiarity is with the restatements, and when I was a judge, I did rely on them quite a bit. They're quite helpful resources to understand, especially a new area of law where you don't have any background. But they're very dense, and they're just denser every year, right? Because there's so many different common law jurisdictions that like take the law in different directions, and the ALI does a really nice job like keeping track of all that. But it's no longer, in my view, I don't know if it ever was, a resource that people other than like smart lawyers and judges probably can get a lot out of. And it seems to me that there might be some opportunities with the generative AI tools for thinking about ways the ALI could update some of its services and offerings that are consistent with its founding mission by using generative AI. And you would not be surprised to know that Claude and GPT had lots of great ideas, and they think it's a very exciting project.
Good.
Yeah, a very exciting project to think about the ways that the ALI might use generative AI with its resources to basically bring even more clarity and transparency and information about legal rights and responsibilities to people, even people who are not lawyers. So I have a bunch of those ideas. I'm going to try them out and see how they go. I'll let you know.
Yeah, that's so cool. Do you have any one that you'd be willing to share?
There are lots of ways in which, if the ALI wanted to, the technology could clearly be used to simplify what the restatements now do in plain language, in any language, right? So you could imagine producing resources that were basically restatements for non-lawyers that would be very simple, and the chatbots have lots of creative names for these. If you wanted to be, if your interest was to make sure that you're bringing, clarity and transparency to what the rule of law is, what it requires of you, what it provides for you, it's a great technology for doing that. I guess I'll have to learn a little bit about like the funding model and how much they count on like their statements for income, but still, I mean,
new markets.
When it was founded, it was the founders here at the University of Pennsylvania, and it was founded by like foundations funded the project, and they were like, we have law just going all over the place out there in all these states, and we really need to bring some clarity. And it was a pro bono effort, really. It wasn't a like money-making effort, and it's still a nonprofit. So I don't think that's I don't mean to like be hung up on like the funding model, but obviously we'd have to figure that out.
At that period, like 100 years ago, is so fascinating.
It is.
Because I know the AAA emerged 100 years ago, ALI, Practicing Law Institute.
Yep.
It was this whole era of such complexity and also such entrepreneurial spirit among lawyers, right?
And collaboration. The ALI was actually like a collaboration between academics, judges, and practicing lawyers. And it was the first time there was that kind of like overlapping stakeholder collaboration around something that everybody was like, we have to do something about this. Like we can't just have like different rules of law, growing up all around the country. Like we need to bring some clarity and have some understanding of what the basics are. And so it's a good model, I feel like, for that collaboration piece of it. The collaborative piece of it is a good model for what's possible right now.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, I feel like you work on a lot of different projects around leveraging AI. I'm involved in some projects. Do you envision that this era of the profession will have some sort of lasting collaborative efforts emerge?
I feel like it certainly could, and it's my hope that it will. I do think, you hear me talk about stakeholder silos and how they really don't serve us, and I think they have disserved us in solving a lot of our big problems in the profession. And I think they will really disserve us if we want to figure out how to make sure that AI transforms the legal profession for the better and the practice of law for the better, not just for lawyers, but for the people we serve. And I don't think we're going to get there without breaking down those silos. So I have big hopes that maybe it's the 100-year anniversary of all of that collaborative innovation, and we can do it again. Now's the time.
That's very cool. And the other group that emerged during the same period that we'll talk about today are law firms and their modern sort of embodiment, developed in response to all of this complexity as well, and are serving their clients in really interesting and dynamic ways right now too. So very interesting, this echo through time 100 years later.
Yeah.
That's a very cool use case.
It's another one of those creative partner. I won't bore the listeners with it, but we got into some deep rabbit holes with I was well, wait a minute, why wouldn't the ALI be exactly the right leader to and it was fun. I like the thought partner aspect of these tools for me. Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah. How about you?
Mine's so boring in comparison. And we talked before hitting record that I'm going to work on saving my most creative use cases because I forget about them by the time we get here. But because I was cramming and trying to prep for today, I used the use case that I used for today's episode, which was using Google's deep research tool, which I love, to prep for today's episode. The World Economic Forum report in particular, which was lengthy, and we really wanted to do a high-level summary. So I asked Google Gemini Deep Research to surface the report and any sort of surrounding editorials about it, particularly weaknesses in the report that I was interested in, and did the whole thing where it generated its research plan, and then I made some edits to it. And I think it's just a very cool use case for anybody.
It's incredible. I mean, I've used that tool, I don't know, a few times a week for the last couple of weeks. It's really a great tool. Yeah.
So my challenge next time, maybe I'll ask AI tonight.
What are some cool things I can do with you, friend? Yeah.
How provocative. Thank you for tuning in to 2030 Vision, AI and the Future of Law. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast and leave a review. Stay informed and inspired as we continue to explore the AI-driven future of the legal profession. We'll see you next time.